The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and he missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel's broadcast of round 13 of the Lionheart Retro Series. Tonight's race will feature iRacing's classic Lotus 79 on one of the premier North American road courses nestled in the woods of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Welcome to Road America. We're going to take a 25-lap trip around the backwoods for the Road America 100 tonight, presented by Dewar's Candy. Hello, I'm Adam Young, and with me tonight in the booth is Tanner Sharp. In the director's chair, Mr. Joe Peak, and he'll be featuring the wonderful cameras of Dougie Beard. And of course, tonight, if you joined the IndyCar Series race in the last week, you know about the passing of Patrick Taylor. Since the last time the Retro Series raced at Gateway, it was a terrible tragedy. Lionheart admin, racer, competitor, and friend Patrick Taylor passed away at the age of 35. He will be missed by everyone involved with Lionheart. At the time of his passing here in the Retro Series, he had made all 12 starts this season, with the best finish of 7th at New Hampshire. With consistent finishes, he has helped Dragonfly Racing charge in the team standings. All that aside, and most importantly, he was a gentleman, a loved brother, son, teammate, and a friend of many.
The guy that I chose is always giving 120% to the league. He's always at the top of his game. He's always happy to help. He always has a smile on his face, it seems. I just can't say enough about Mr. Patrick Taylor. He's one of our admins. He has no idea that this award is coming, by the by, and I want to thank him personally for all of the work that he puts into the league. It's just over the top. You do a fine job, Patrick. Congratulations, your first medicals driver of the year.
Yay, Patrick!
Congratulations, Patrick.
Absolutely.
Wow. Brandon is right. I had no idea that was going to happen. I guess this is a bad time to be speechless. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I pretty much feel the same way Brandon does about the league. I'm honored to be here and to be a part of it, and getting to be part of the admin team was just an added bonus. So thank you. I'm very grateful for this. I really appreciate it.
Patrick Taylor passed away August 8th. The hole in the hearts of all that knew him will never be filled. If you'd like to donate Patrick's memory and give his family some much needed help, please check the link in the description of the video. There will also be information there about a patch that everyone who donates gets. Now, we have in the booth with us here tonight Jason Galvin to talk to us a little bit more about Patrick. And Jason, I know that Patrick meant a lot to the Lionheart community, and just kind of want you to just take it away from here and just tell us a little bit about what he meant to the series, what he meant to you, and also the iRacing community as a whole.
Yeah, it's been tough, Adam. This has hit us harder than I think anybody realized something like this could hit somebody. And the loss of Patrick Taylor, I think, opened up everybody in this league's eyes, and specifically the admins and his teammates, but really everybody, to the power of the world that we live in now. And the fact that over a simulation, on our computers from miles and thousands of miles and oceans apart can grow so close to somebody, and then when that person passes unexpectedly, you can feel such a tremendous sense of loss in your life. And that is what Patrick Taylor brought to this league. He was a great friend to everybody. He was easily the nicest person that I have known in my life on a day-to-day basis. He was always so upbeat, and I think we do a poor job as a society when somebody passes away. We always want to, hype them up and tell you how great they were, and so sometimes words like that might sound overblown, but in this case, it's true. And if you don't believe that, go on the iRacing forum and look at the thread. Everybody that has posted on there that knew Patrick for 5 minutes, or for 2 years, like the admins, will tell you that he was the most sincere, nice, humble person. He bent over backwards to make Lionheart what it is today. And George Anzaldo and everybody else on this admin team has worked so hard to get this league where it's at. But he went above and beyond like nobody could imagine. On top of his day-to-day life, he ran his own business up in Canada. He helped his mother take care of his father who had some medical issues. Was just a dear friend to everybody. And, we want to say hello to his family. We're thinking of them still. We're very thankful that Robert Bluen, one of Patrick's best friends and teammates here and a league admin, was able to get to his funeral and remember him on behalf of the league. And we are going to miss him dearly. And I know you mentioned that the link is in the broadcast. If you're sitting at home and you feel like you can help a little bit, every little bit helps. There's some things that the family have planned with the money that we are raising, and it'll go a long way towards helping them keep Patrick's memory alive. And that's kind of where we've moved to from this point forward. We've always raced in the name of Dan Weldon, but from this day forward, the Lionheart Racing Series will also race in the name of Patrick Taylor. So we love him so much. We miss him. I know George is heartbroken he couldn't be here tonight to speak on the retro side of things for what he meant. I appreciate everything that you guys at GSRC have done and that everybody in the iRacing community has done to reach out. And we're just going to go out and put on the best show that we can for him, and never let his memory slip away, because he was the heartbeat of this league for the last 2 years.
Well, thank you very much for coming in here and talking to us a little bit about Patrick here this evening. And I think with that, I know it might be hard, but time to go jump in the machine and go, man.
Yes, sir. We're going to give it everything we have. Thanks, guys.
All right. Good luck. All right, so with that, one thing that I think has been pretty neat about the whole in memory of Patrick is that you're seeing his name and his number pop up in a lot of different leagues in memory of him, PRL, Pacific Majors. You're going to see some cars with his logo on it in the upcoming race at Spa. So he's touched a lot of people in his 35 years on this earth. So just want to give one final salute to Patrick Taylor, but Tanner. Life goes on and racing goes on, and as you know, sometimes the things that racers do the best is just jump back in the car. And tonight we're doing that at Road America, which is also your home track. So I think there's nobody more qualified to tell us about Road America than you, sir. Go right on ahead.
Road America, one of my favorite road courses to go to on a NASCAR circuit, and actually it is the biggest road course NASCAR does go to. Road America is a 4-mile road course, a 4.048 mile to be exact, with 14 turns, located near Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin on Wisconsin Highway 67. It opened up in 1955. It currently hosts the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, the SCCA Pirelli World Challenge, the ASRA, the MA Superbike Series, and the IndyCar Series come here as well. Open wheel racing journalist Robin Miller says that Road America is, and I quote, the best test of road racing in North America. So to get an idea how to get around this giant of a road course of Road America, let's hop on board the GSRC Lotus 79 and take you a trip around the track.
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Road America. Coming across the start-finish line, the run down to Turn 1 is going to be one of your best opportunities to pass. This first corner is admittedly pretty swift, but there's still plenty of braking to give you a chance to sneak up the inside. Watch the dirt on the exit because it can spin you. As we run through the short chute to Turn 3, really focus on getting the exit right for this corner. Being able to defend or attack, as well as simply laying good lap times down, really depends on getting yourself a decent launch. You can see the moraine sweep is quite a long stretch, and it'll end into the heavy braking of Turn 5. All of these factors combine to mean that this is easily one of the most popular passing spots on the track. Be careful though, because it's also terribly easy to overshoot. If someone has a nose in on you, try for the over-under. From there, it's a quick blast to Turn 6 where the crest on entry will catch many drivers out. Do your best not to skitter off into the grass. Switch sides and then keep it flat through Turn 7. We're now into the hurry downs, which ends with Turn 8. Sneak attacks are possible here, and a lot of times drivers aren't expecting the need to defend. From there, get to the left and give yourself a nice wide entry under the bridge into the carousel. This corner feels like it goes on forever, but ideally you want to get a little wide so that you can cut back and open up the exit. That'll bring us to the infamous kink. Thankfully, the ground effects on the 79 make it a less scary proposition, and you can take it flat. Into the kettle bottoms, the track is going to weave left, which means to line up your braking for Canada Corner, try not to come in at an angle. Hug the left side, get it slowed up, and be careful not to get too aggressive on the brakes because there's not much sand trap before you find the tires. After that, turn 13A will be blind, but once again, no problem in the Lotus. Get the car back to the left side as soon as you can, and make sure to clip the apex and get to the power early for the final turn. Carry that momentum to ensure the car can chug up the hill with a lot of grunt behind it. Hopefully, you kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Road America.
One final note, and George Anzaldo is in our chat here for tonight on YouTube, and I want to remind everybody also, for Patrick Taylor, in the video that you saw earlier, he accepted their Driver of the Year award last year, and he also really helped put together the 2016 yearbook, and they do have that for download on their website, so it's a pretty cool deal. If you get a chance to go see it, go take a look at that, and that's LionheartRacingSeries.com. I just want to give that plug in there here real quick. Now, of course, Road America, it's a track that surprisingly doesn't have very many active winners in, well, any of the Lionheart series. In fact, Jake Wright won here back in Season 4 of the IndyCar series, and he's the only active previous winner here. Now, Tanner, so Road America, we all know, is a tough track. You're on the gas a lot. You're going to be, you get some pretty high G-force corners as well. So as far as the race details here for tonight, go ahead and talk us through what we can expect, at least as far as the race format.
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. We got round 13. This is round 13 of 18 races. 25 laps is this race length. That's 101.2 miles on the screen, as you see. The maximum stint, which means the approximate maximum fuel stint, is going to be 11 laps. So we're going to have to. That's going to be key right there. We'll have to keep an eye on as this race progresses. Your incident cap limit is going to be times 12. What that means is if you make another car contact with another car, that's a times 4 incident point. Touching the grass or any of the kitty litter areas on the racetrack is a times 1, and if you go over 17 of those X's, it is a disqualification. The weather today is pretty warm out there, as pretty good track conditions as well on the track temperature, I may add. 78 degrees with partly cloudy, with the wind coming from the north, and the track temperature is at 103 degrees there, Adam.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Tanner. And, of course, we're going to start talking about the championship next. And, well, we talked about Jake Wright being the only previous winner here. Well, we go back last time out at Gateway. He didn't have the finish he hoped. Now, not saying it was a bad finish. He came home in 6th position. But where we're used to seeing Jake Wright at this season, it was not quite there, being just outside the top 5. Now, Ryan Otis finished in 4th, and since he also got bonus points for leading a lap, leading the most laps, and having an incident-free race, well, he was able to close the gap on Jake Wright in the points by 6 points. That means he's only down by 31 now, so the race for the championship here is very much alive. And don't forget, if Jake Wright and Ryan Otis, both of them were to have a bad race at some point, Jason Galvin could be right back in this thing. And behind him, and needing a little bit more help, you'll find Dustin Wardlow, who fell to 4th after Gateway, and Travis Jagerliner, who are both in a good points battle between them two. So still plenty of action going on here in the point standings. Now, No Name Racing continues to dominate the team championship behind the efforts of Jake Wright this season. After Gateway, though, that momentum that Dragonfly Racing had been building up, well, it kind of came to a halt, and they're going to have to give 2nd place back to AGR Motorsports in that battle. Now, Dragonfly will obviously be racing in the memory of their teammate Patrick Taylor, as will the rest of the league for the rest of the season. Now, the series does issue bonus points for winning the pole, leading a lap, leading the most laps, and running an incident-free race. So, Tanner, these guys have to start thinking about the end game of the season. And after tonight and next week, they get another nice long break to do that. But you still got to take things one race at a time. So with that said, what's the key for these guys that have the momentum to keep it going here tonight?
Well, looking at their future schedule here, Adam, I tell you what, it's going to be a tough one. And with that being said, it starts here at Road America. You got to have a mistake-free race. You got to keep it on the racetrack. If you knock it off the racetrack after overdriving a corner or whatever the deal is, because this is a very demanding road course, believe it or not, it's one of the biggest road courses here. You keep it on the racetrack. Secondly, if you're not a good qualifier, how are you going to gain that track position? You're going to be thinking about that even before the green flag drops. So that's one thing you got to keep an eye on, is what guys are going to gain that track position. And plus, you got your road course ringers as well. Are they going to remain up front, or are they going to have a mistake-free race? We're going to find all that out here at Road America. And looking at their schedule, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, you got Iowa coming up. Then after that, you got Barber Motorsports Park. I mean, those are 2 tracks right there that are very different. One's a short oval. The other one's we go back to a road course. So tough tracks coming up with tough competition.
Well, speaking of tough competition, on your screen right now, Adam Blocker. Now, there's a reason that you don't see him in the point standings, and there's only one reason you don't see him quite in the point standings just yet. That's because he didn't join the series on the retro side of things here until, well, pretty late in the year. He missed quite a few races. But even with that, well, he's been able to just set the world on fire in the races that he has been able to join us here for so far this season. And he's trying to do the same thing here for tonight. He is on another qualifying run right now. So far, he is 2nd on the grid. But even in the short little bit that he's been with us here for this season, he has been able to gain a lot of ground in the points by, well, he was able to pick up the win last time out at Gateway. So out of 4 races, he's finished in the top 5 in 3 of them. And, well, the one he didn't finish in the top 5 with is just kind of something not of his own doing. So you're going to have your eyes on him, I'm pretty sure, here tonight. Is that right, Tanner?
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. And here's another reson why I think Adam...
and of course, the commentator's curse. He has him off right when we start talking about him.
But, Adam, just basing off his statistics, I tell you what, I think he's a contender for that win tonight. He has yet to win a road course in this series, even though, according to his starts, in them first 4 starts, we only been to 2 road courses. And that was Laguna Seca and Mid-Ohio. And he finished a 3rd and a 2nd there. But in those 2 road courses, those are the 2 races he's led the most laps in any other race he started in Lionheart Retro Series. So he's going to be a big old factor tonight here at Road America. You watch.
Yeah. And another guy that might be a factor, another guy on your screen right there, Dustin Wardlow, who, by the way, also helping sponsor tonight's race with Dewar's Candy. So check out dewarscandy.com. So he's been a factor here as of late as well. But so far, 4th on the grid here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing, I mean, he's competitive at the road courses. He's just trying to be better than 4th place so far on the grid. He's trying to be better than that. Last time we were at the 2 road courses, Laguna Seca and Mid-Ohio, he finished a 6th at Laguna Seca and a 5th at Mid-Ohio, but he hasn't led any laps since Indianapolis. So hopefully Dustin Wardlow can go up there and challenge for that win today.
Yeah, and of course I was going to say it anyway, but our director Joe decided to remind me here. James Krahula coming straight off the Premier Racing League, which I also know that we do have a number of viewers that very much enjoy watching the Premier Racing League broadcast. They just got done with 250 laps at Bristol. Ooh. Instead of going around the tight bull ring, now he's going to come up north a little bit and go ahead and try his hand at Road America here, but James Krahula trying to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack of all trades and master of none. But I tell you what, James Krahula, no matter what he's driving, Adam, he is competitive. I mean, I've seen him driving on the PRL side over there, and man, he's blazing fast. He's competitive. He majority runs in the top 10. And if you give him in these Indy cars here, or at least a Lotus 79, he's a real competitive guy. So especially on the overslide portion.
Yeah, these guys are, you find a lot of these guys in different series too, which is awesome. It's all part of the greater iRacing community, and James Krahula definitely a big part of that. So he's wrapping up right now his run. I believe he is actually the only one currently on the racetrack here, so we'll continue to follow along with him. Right now, sitting about that 2 minute 0.3 mark. We'll see if he is able to bring that time down a little bit here on the next go round. Trying to figure out, I think he's getting ready to head toward the carousel here. Indeed, yep. So he is going to be finishing up this lap here pretty quick. So we'll start watching. This is actually coming up here in just a second, Tanner. My favorite part of Road America, but it's also a part you've got to be careful in traffic. The kink.
Yep. Absolutely. That is a very tricky spot, especially if you're driving on the stock car portion side, because you can easily overdrive that, coming out of that kink and go into the grass area there. But and you can also miss it too. So that's a very tough corner of the racetrack.
Yeah, we're actually, I don't think he's going to be able to finish this lap. 10 seconds left here in the session. So I think it's safe to go ahead and start talking about the grid. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, James, you're going to come up just short of finishing that lap. Okay, so on the pole, Ryan Otis with a 155.105 and about almost 0.4 of a second behind him, Adam Blocker.
Jake Wright, the championship point leader, is going to start in 3rd place. And starting 4th tonight, Dustin Wardlow in the Dewar's Candy Machine.
Yeah, and in 4th position, we will find David Altman. David Altman has had himself a pretty decent season. We don't talk a lot about him, but he has managed 7 top 10s here so far this season. Alongside him, you heard his voice earlier talking about friend Patrick Taylor. We find Jason Galvin.
Travis Jageliner sitting in the 7th spot today, and Michael Goodman will roll off 8th.
Andrew Kinsella's back in 9th position on the inside of row 5. Outside of row 5 is going to belong to Chris Lanini.
Scott Bolster will start in 11th, and Chris Stover, who I know is fast on a roads portion side, will start 12th.
And Bob Mike is starting in 13th position. Pierre Daigle starting in 14th. That'll make up row 7.
Dylan McKenna will start in 15th, and Joe Branch will start in 16th. That'll make up row 8.
Row 9 is going to belong to Frank Beezer and Tony Schoen. They'll make up row 9.
In row 10, Big Joe Hazard, deep in the field this time around, will start in the 19th spot, and rounding out this row 10, Vincent Blumenthal, top 20.
In 21st position, Ed Tutwiler, and of course, also one of Patrick Taylor's teammates, Robert Bluen, starting in 22nd.
Jack Bogan in 23rd, and Mr. James Krahula in 24th.
Peter Edwin starting in 25th, and row 13, Matthew Mercer in 26th, and Mark Amuck and David Cordy. I believe Dave Cordy is actually running things behind the scene here for tonight. So I think these guys are getting ready to roll behind the pace car. Now, Road America does have a full pace lap here. So once the cars start rolling, we will go all the way around this 4-mile facility at pace speed. So we got a little bit still more here to talk, Tanner, and I think I brought it up there just a minute ago that David Altman's one of the guys that we don't talk a lot about, but he always seems to be right there in the action.
Yeah, absolutely. David Altman's actually been pretty competitive last couple weeks here. He's racked up, four straight top 10s in a row with the best finish of a 4th. So David Altman's been really on the hot streak lately as far as consistency goes. Let's just hope he can make the step up, start leading laps, and win races.
Okay, and here for tonight, we also do have some onboard cameras for you. Now, these guys are normally sponsored, but tonight, these onboard cameras will be in the memory of Patrick Taylor. We start first with Dustin Wardlow. Dustin starting up toward the front of the field here for tonight right now, 11th. Actually, he'll be starting in 4th position, excuse me. So we should have some good views. See right there on the roll bar loop at Dustin Wardlow. Also, he helped sponsor the race here for today for DeWarsCandy.com. Still want to be sure to mention that. Ryan Otis up there on the pole. He's going to give us a great shot off his roll bar here for tonight. So we'll be able to get some good views out of him. And I have a feeling, Tanner, a lot of those views might not involve a lot of cars until we start getting in some lap traffic a little bit later on in the race. And next up, Patrick Taylor's teammate. And you mentioned that he was, in fact, able to get to Patrick's funeral and helped serve the memory of Lionheart there. And, of course, he was a very dear friend of Patrick's, Robert Blue and his teammate, Dragonfly Racing. So these guys are going to have a lot on their mind here for tonight. But racing, of course, for a lot of guys, and even the real world will tell you sometimes is the best therapy out there. So the cars are rolling. Tanner, any final thoughts here before we get going on today's race?
It's going to be a very demanding road course indeed. You're going to be going uphill with the start of turn 5 all the way to turn 6, and you got to watch out for turn 5. That's usually the biggest corner of overtaking somebody, but it can also be an corner for overtaking a disaster. And also turn 7, then you go through that carousel. But two of the hardest corners that could end up in disaster is the Kink and probably Canada Corner. So that would be turn 12. So I'm really looking forward to this race. So one of my favorite road courses of the season.
All right, and speaking of road courses for the season, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that this is the penultimate road course for the remainder of the season. We're going to go to Barber Motorsports Park coming up at the end of September. Everything else is on ovals outside of Road America and Barber. So these guys, well, they're going to have to get used to turning left quite a bit. And coming up next week, and I tell you what, these Lotus 79 cars, you do not want to miss next week. It's going to be at Iowa. That's right, short track in a Lotus 79. I can't wait. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. These guys heading down into Canada Quarter now. Tanner, I mentioned that Kink is my favorite part of Road America, but Canada Corner, right here where the field's going through, I'm going to be honest with you, is probably my least favorite part.
It's easy to overdrive, I'll be honest, especially with my experience on driving a stock car here on the Xfinity Series side. It's a challenging corner, believe it or not. I mean, if you just looked at it, I mean, it looks easy, but driving a car, it's not.
All right. Well, these pace lap here is just about wrapped up. We are getting ready to hit turn 14. You're going to see the pace car head off. We're going to go down the Road America Straight coming up here underneath the Caterpillar Bridge. Pace car is off. Ryan Otis on the gas. We're going to start the Road America 100 presented by DeWarsCandy.com. See the road battle back there for second as Ryan Otis is off to a great start. We're going to go back 3 wide, though, back there with Jason Galvin. And it looks like Dustin Wardlow, and that's David Altman actually backing off there before he gets 3 wide going into turn 1. Those guys will start hitting into turn 2 here in a minute. Dustin Wardlow is going to have to fight off David Altman going in there. We'll see if he gets in position. No, he's going to continue fighting on the outside right there. And then behind them, I think everybody, I believe the entire field made it through the first part of the track here. But back behind Ryan Otis, who's off to a great start. The battle for second is now on. Is Jason Galvin making a play on Jake Wright here as they head toward that tough left-hander, another part of the track where he can really overdrive. Jake Wright now takes sole command of second position, but he still is going to have to hold off the likes of Jason Galvin and Adam Blocker. Cannot forget about that blue and black machine of Adam Blocker out there, who is now having to fight off David Altman.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just scrolling through the field here. Everybody so far is clean and green, trying to get through these tough corners. Going through turn number 7 underneath the Johnsonville-Speedville bridge. Going through the carousel right now. Galvin is actually currently in the 3rd spot, but I think today is going to be a big old battle between Jake Wright, Ryan Otis, and Adam Blocker. 3 drivers we're going to have to keep an eye on today.
Yeah, so there you go. Your front half of the field right now, just definitely going. We do have a little bit of an incident in the back. I believe Jack Bogan is off the track. See what can happen to him. Definitely had some suspension damage. Oh, it looks like he got off track going underneath the Corvette bridge right there. And put it in the grass, got on the gas too hard, came back onto the track and right in front of Peter Edwins. And both of them have significant damage.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very unfortunate start off to the race, especially on lap 1. It just makes it a longer day for you.
It does. So far, that has been the only major incident, I believe, in the field so far. Is starting to get a little bit more single file, at least going back through about through the top 20 at least here, as these guys are so far racing pretty clean out there. Ryan Otis, though, is got another replay up here following Jack Bogan. I believe we're trying to get it once again here for you. Oh, excuse me, I'm watching the wrong thing. Wow. Hey,
things are happening too quick.
Tanner, I can't believe I just did that. I haven't done that in a long time, by the way.
We got a great battle going on, though.
Take a look at David Altman there and Dustin Wardlow.
Yeah, this has been a battle back and forth ever since the exit of turn number 4, or actually turn number 3, excuse me, as these guys have been going at it pretty good right here. Going up the hill into turn 6. Wardlow almost overdrove it, and he actually hit his marks pretty good, even though it looked like he almost overdrove it, and now he remains right in front of David Altman. Actually going down turn 7. Here we go. Altman's going to try it. Still side by side, not giving up. Battle for the top 5 spot on the speedway. Actually, a gaggle of cars right here lined up behind these guys right here.
Yeah, the more side by side they fight, the slower that's making them there, and you're having a pretty good battle now, starting to shape up here. Whoa, who's that gets wide? It's Michael Goodman to get wide into the grass.
You talked about it, Adam, the kink.
And we did have a comment in the sections like, the kink, Adam, really? Because I mentioned that's my favorite part of the track. It's like, that's just really scary. And I think that's actually why I like it so much, Tanner, is it'll make you think twice before doing anything dangerous sometimes. I see Andrew Kinsella running a little bit wide there. Actually, really wide there, coming off corner number 14 there, heading onto the front straightaway. And you got to hit that front straightaway just right. It's so long that if you get loose coming off that corner, it just kills your entire speed down the track.
And that's where the start-finish line is, too. So that's another reason why it's important, too, so you can carry that momentum and that speed up that hill underneath that calibrated bridge to get to the line and down towards turn number 1.
And following Andrew Kinsella and the old Budweiser machine. And I'll tell you something else, too. Every time I see Andrew Kinsella in the Budweiser machine, in just the general shape of a Lotus 79, you know what I think of, Tanner?
Who?
The old Miss Budweiser hydroplane boats. Do you know those?
We got a battle on screen.
There we go. Actually looking at Michael Goodman running wide once again. He's going to lose maybe 2 spots because of it here to Bob Mikas and Chris Stouffer. Michael Goodman, I think he's having some handling issues with that truck, with that car at this point.
Just a little bit. He's missing his marks just a little bit, and it's costing him positions on the speedway. And that's one of my key features of Road America at the top of the show, was you got to stay on track at all times and do not create any mistakes. We're in the portion of the season now.
Behind him, Joe Branch actually just running into a little bit trouble there. Ended up trying to make a move on Pierre Daigle, and ended up getting a little bit loose there, and he not only did not get the spot from Pierre Daigle, he's going to lose his spot to Scott Bolster, as Scott Bolster is able to get around him here. So that battle should heat back up again, but now Joe Branch is going to have to use the draft in order to do it. Of course, they're fighting back there for 13-14. Going up to Chris Lanini here in 9th position. He is fighting with Travis Jaegerliner there, and I think Kinsella, excuse me, and Kinsella is able to hold him back there. So that couple of decent battles. Things happen pretty quick here at Road America, and a large part of that's because of the draft, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and they're on this long straightaway right now, and I mean, Chris Stolford used that draft and that momentum on the exit of turn 14 to get that, try to get this spot away from Chris Lanini. Now they're down turn number 1. That would be a battle for 9th on the speedway.
And still fighting side by side back there, so that battle is not going to let up here anytime soon. Of course, Chris Lanini in that, I believe that you call that black and rust colored number 92. I don't want to say brown, but I want to go with rust. But look at Bob Micus. He's going to try making it 3 wide, a little wobbly doing it.
Excuse me, coming through.
Oh, Chris Lanini very smartly backs out of that one. He didn't want any part of that. And that's going to cost Chris Stouffer to lose a lot of ground there on the exit of the corner, and Michael Goodman loses ground, and Chris Lanini loses ground. That was probably one of the more intense moments of the race here so far.
Did you see Lanini shake that steering wheel at the exit of turn 5? Holy cow, and that was going uphill too. He just shook it, and man, he was like he got loose or something. He couldn't get the power down. I was using the spin out. Oh, speaking of spin out.
Yeah, loses the back end of his car here. Bob Micus does, just on the throttle a little bit too hard. That's a very easy part of the track to do it right there. I believe that happened there in turn 5. Excuse me, turn 6. Turn 7, okay. And that definitely cost him a few spots there here this early part of this race. 22 laps to go. It's a long distance here. Right now we're thinking that these guys are going to have to make 2 stops in order to get through this race here. So you're going to have plenty of time to be able to make up some spots, but we're seeing some aggressive moves early.
Yeah, aggressive moves early, trying to get up there towards the front, but it just seems like, I would have to agree with our director, it just seems like at the lower speeds when you get that car down, like turn 5 and turn 7, you try to mash the gas down, it doesn't always want to go, it just wants to spin out, so you really got to ease onto the throttle to get that higher speed, then you can get into the throttle.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have any experience, Tanner, but I know me and our director, Joe Peak, we just raced the Nissan in the Road America 500K here this past weekend, and Joe did the Audi, as he's telling me in my ear, but I did the Nissan, and Nissan's a lot like that too, except I wish I had these rear tires on the Nissan, and even with these big rear tires, they still have trouble getting the power down sometimes in these low-speed corners. Real quick, do want to go back up front just to kind of recap everything here. Actually, stay here just a second and see how this battle shapes up with Pierre Daigle and Bob Micus. Bob Micus going to end up going wide there. Okay, so now let's go to the front here real quick. Ryan Otis, got to give a mention to him, but he is just setting sail right now. I think it's because this paint job looks like an old Penske machine. I think that's giving him an extra couple horsepower around here right now. But Jake Wright is definitely trying to do what he can back there. The last lap, Jake Wright was actually a little bit faster by 0.005 of a second. That's it. You're not going to make up a lot of time doing that. But going back to third, you'll actually find your fastest car on the racetrack right now, and that's Adam Blocker. But the problem is that the early race pace is now separated. Your top 3, Ryan Oates from Jake Wright's about 2 seconds, and then Jake Wright going back to Adam Blocker is about another 2 seconds. So you got to, and then you have to go back another 3 seconds to go back to Jason Galvin. So the top half of this field, the top 10, pretty well spread out, at least here at this point. So pit stops, though, and always be the game changer. We go back to 5th position. That's where we find our first big battle as you're looking at David Altman and Dustin Wardlow. Dustin Wardlow's the one trying to make the move here, trying to get around David Altman, doing the best he can. Don't forget, you got Travis Jagerliner right there, as our buddy Soup likes to call it, the popcorn position, because he's just sitting back there waiting for something to happen. Now let's see if he can make his own thing happen here on Dustin Wardlow as you go down the draft, eventually through the moraine sweep, heading down into turn 3 here in just a second. Another heavy braking point. Dustin Wardlow's going to take a look to the inside of David Altman. Not quite there for him. And Tanner, that's another part of the track where you really have to watch a low-speed corner and then trying to get on the gas again.
Yeah, turn 5, turn 7, and turn 8 are the, actually not turn 8, Canada corner, which I believe is turn number 12. Those corners are the popular overtaking spots on the speedway, where you really can dive in there on the inside of somebody and really overtake that person. But it can also mean disaster too. So those are the heavy lifters, part of the racetrack. Every time I come to Road America, I'm always sitting in turn 5 because anything can happen in that corner.
That's right. It's high speed. I believe it was 2 years ago on the PWC in a Ferrari, wasn't it? That caught air, went into the catch fence. Lots of debris all over the track. It's just one of the highest speed parts of this track, and lots of things can go wrong there if you're not careful.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the kink too. In my opinion, I think the kink is the fastest part of the racetrack, because you just kind of in these cars sometimes you're kind of just lifting off the gas, trying to roll through that area. Then you can just mash down that throttle and just go. You're carrying that speed. But it can also mean disaster too. So there's a bunch of disaster corners on this racetrack, and there's a lot of uphills, and I think there's a downhill. I think that's towards turn number 7, from turn 6 to turn 7. So it's a very tough, very technical racetrack there, Adam.
Yeah, and I think you can ask Catherine Legg about a couple of years ago in a kart race about how dangerous the kink can be. If you've never seen that, Rick, it's amazing she walked away from that, and I'm pretty sure you can find that on YouTube somewhere. Bob Mikus, the first one to go ahead and take the journey down pit road, and actually looks like his front wing's a little tweaked. Have to go see if that was just because of a curb or if that was because of contact. Of course, he was involved in that 3-wide battle not too long ago. Starting to see a few more cars as well. Now, here's the strategy these guys might be playing, Tanner, is the fact that we're looking at possibly 2 pit stops. So, maybe it's better to come in and take your short one here early. We're looking at the replay. We'll see if we see anything here out of this. I believe that is James Krahula up there in front of him, so at some point he lost quite a few spots, and I think the damage is already done by that point. So, there he goes, he's going off the track right here. Yeah, I think it's something that happened before that, because he ended up back there with James Krahula, who James Krahula right now is back in 13th position. Actually, James Krahula gaining quite a few spots, so not giving enough credit where credit is due, apparently, to Mr. Krahula.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Krahula is on his way up towards the front, at least trying to crack the top 10 to the best of his ability. Started 24th up to 13th. But I think that damage on Bob Mikus was in that 3-wide scenario when he did make contact with, Chris Lalini earlier in the race, and it could have damaged part of his car just a little bit.
Yeah, that's entirely possible, because sometimes iRacing on our views here, that the damage doesn't show up at least immediately. I mean, I did see a little bit of wing damage of Chris Lanini. So taking a look now, Bob Mikus actually, I believe, still on pit road, I believe, here.
Yeah, this is
and he is out of the car. So Bob Mikus' day could potentially be done here for today. And don't forget, Bob Mikus, he went into this race 6 in the point standings, 2 wins already on the year, and 7 top 10s. So he's had himself a pretty good season. Now we're looking back on screen. Dustin Wardlow taking a look at David Altman. He's going to run a little bit wide there through turn 5, and I think he's going to lose a little bit of ground, starting to head into 6 and then eventually 7. Now turn 7 here is another one of those little high-speed, quick right-handers that can sometimes present a problem, particularly in lower downforce cars. But some of the times these higher downforce cars have a problem through there too, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's one of them. Turn 7 is one of those famous overtaking spots, just as very much as Turn 5 is, or Turn 8. Okay, Turn 8. So it's a very popular overtaking spot, but can end in disaster as well. So but it's very fast though, so you got to be very careful. As we may have a battle on with Dustin Wardlow and David Altman. I thought Wardlow was going to take him. Maybe not. Curious if Wardlow is going to get this position on him, Adam, because he's been keeping tabs with him. He isn't really pulling away from Dustin Wardlow and that Dwarves Candy Machine. That Dwarves Candy Machine, it's hooked up for a top 5 finish, but you got to get past David Altman to do it.
Yeah, you do. And David Altman, as we've talked about him. I think we talked more about him tonight than the entire season here so far, except maybe Laguna Seca. He was in the picture quite a bit in Laguna Seca. So, but here for tonight, he's been kind of in the mix of it, fighting back here with Dustin Wardlow and Travis Jagerliner quite a bit. So trying to do something here in the tail end of the season. Of course, if we didn't mention it earlier, I believe we did. David Altman coming into the race 9th in the point standings. Another guy with 7 top 10s. So he's out there also running as an independent, not tied to a team here for this season. Taking a look through the field myself here real quick. So far, the only 2 cars out of this race are Jack Bogan and Bob Mikus. Now, going back to another battle here, taking a look at Matthew Mercer and Vincent Blumenthal. Vincent, another guy we really haven't had the opportunity to talk about so far here for tonight. Same with Matthew Mercer. Vincent, it looks like, Matthew trying to break the draft just a little bit here from Vincent. And heading off into that tight left-hander. One of those slow-speed parts that we keep bringing up that you really got to be careful about getting onto the gas. And you go up the hill real quick. You're back on the brake for another left-hander. It looks like Matthew Mercer kind of gets a little bit of an off-track there. You can see just how much time that cost him. A couple of tenths of a second right there, and Vincent is all over that rear wing. He's going to take the corner, and he overdrives it in the attempt. Into the kitty litter, but thankfully it's virtual kitty litter. He doesn't get stuck out there. He's able to get back on track, and right now I think the biggest damage is going to be to his pride and his lap time. Just kind of throws it in there, runs wide. David Altman, I think maybe he just had to lift just a touch to keep out of him, but so that battle will be broken up at least here for a little bit. Another driver in the kitty litter, it looks like it, Mark Amuck. Looks like he went off here going into Canada.
Yep, yes he did, and that's a popular overtaking spot too. But it's a very easy corner to really miss.
Yeah, and I will admit I was guilty of missing it numerous times in that certain Nissan we were talking about earlier. So those loses at least 2 spots right there. I believe that was David Altman and Vincent Blumenthal passing him by. Taking another look. Actually, this would be a good time. Let's see, we got about 16 laps to go. Let's go and work our way completely through the field. Let's start at the front. We'll work our way to the back and talk about everybody. Maybe we can get them in here before the first round of pit stops. Starting up front, Ryan Otis. Of course, he started on the pole. He's been up front this entire race. A great run. And since the last time we talked about him, he separated himself by another second over top of Jake Wright. Jake Wright back there as well. Another guy started in 3rd and now running in 2nd position. He just cannot make any ground. He's had a few laps where he's been faster by Ryan Otis, but not too many. 3rd position, you'll find Adam Blocker. Adam Blocker, probably without a doubt, the hottest driver on the circuit right now as far as consistent finishes up front here since he joined the series a couple of races ago. Very excited to see what he's going to do here for the rest of the season. And then back in 4th position, we talked to him earlier on tonight, Jason Galvin. He's up 2 positions from where he started, and up 2 positions. He started in 6th here for this evening in that old school Menards vehicle. And I actually think he's got Quaker State also on the side pods. Going back to 5th position, and actually 5th position here just a minute ago, he's talking about well, now it's Dustin Wardlow. It was David Altman. David Altman coming down pit road, but Dustin Wardlow won down one spot, but he has been in the mix of it in the top 5 here all evening long so far. He's definitely got some power in that Dewar's Candy Machine. In fact, we can actually jump on board with Dustin Wardlow here for a second in that Patrick Taylor.
Yep, same here.
Okay, so possibly a connection issue here with iRacing. That's okay. We'll continue to call the race for you over. I guess we'll do this radio style. How does that sound, Tanner?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so right now we'll continue working our way through the field, talking about the guys here. Actually, I want to go up to a battle. Matthew Mercer and Robert Bluen. A little bit of contact there between Matthew Mercer and Robert Bluen. I think they were able to scrape by and keep on going. They're going to go ahead and keep going. And actually, I think Tanner has lost his connection, and I just did as well. Okay, so something is going on. We're going to go ahead and go to a break, and we'll be back here in just a minute. Well, welcome back to Road America. Unfortunately, we missed the pit cycle. And in the pit cycle and the ensuing connection problems that we've had here at Road America, a little bit of technical difficulties, Adam Blocker is now in the lead of the race, followed by Dustin Wardlow. We'll walk through the top 5 here real quick. Jason Galvin, David Altman, and Travis Jaegerliner is your top 5. Unfortunately, it looked like Jake Wright, Matthew Mercer, Ed Tutwiler, Chris Lanini, Ryan Otis, Joe Branch, I believe, were the main ones that were affected by the connection issue. We are standing by right now for word from Lionheart officials about how the race will go from here. But either way, there is still racing going on the racetrack. Finding a nice little battle right here with James Kahula and Scott Bolster back there. And James Kahula going to be trying to look to the inside here as they head to Canada. Get to the inside, but he runs a little bit wide. Scott Bolster able to do the over and under there, and going side by side. It's never part of those racetrack where it's really hard to do side by side. And now making that final right-hander before the front straightaway. And James Kahula has himself at least a halfway decent gap. Maybe he'll be able to hold on to that position here as they head off into turn 1. Obviously, draft going to play a little bit at least of a role in that. As far as other battles on the racetrack right now, I actually believe that is the closest battle on the racetrack. Actually, we go back up to Michael Goodman. I having to let Ryan Otis by. Ryan Otis now back on the track. Unfortunately, he is 4 laps down here at this point. On screen right now, you have Jason Galvin and David Altman. David Altman able to make up quite a bit of ground on Jason Galvin during that pit cycle, and now right underneath his rear wing, about 0.3 of a second back for 3rd and 4th position. You see the gap separating there a little bit, heading off into turn, right before the carousel there. Okay, so we just got word from Lionheart officials that this race is now going to be treated as an unofficial race. No points will be awarded due to the connection issues that have affected us here. In fact, our very own Tanner Sharp trying to recover from that right now as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get him back on air here pretty quick also. So unofficial race, but still racing because these guys love to race. So still that battle right now between Galvin and David Altman out there. And they're catching Andrew Kinsella, actually. Excuse me, not Andrew Kinsella. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Chris Lanini just had a little bit of an off, but he's a couple laps down now. Just zooming through the field, just trying to make sure we're not missing anything here as a whole. Altman's pulling back close to Jason Galvin in the draft. Altman's going to try to take a little bit of a look, decides discretion's a better part of valor, pulls back in line. Nothing there for him quite yet as they start heading down and eventually to the Moraine sweep and then turn 5 as well. Here comes the draft. And I believe replacing, calling in the bullpen, Sean Ambrose.
I'm back. You want to talk about a quick trip from Bristol all the way over here to Wisconsin? Are you kidding me? I'm here, and I'm watching this battle between Altman and Galvin right now. These two lucky to have survived the big crash of 2017. Altman getting a really nice run through the carousel here. Galvin looks strong on the exit, though.
Yeah, he really does. It's been a real strong part of the track for him here for tonight as well. So these guys, in case you are just joining us, the race has been declared unofficial. No points are going to be awarded here for tonight. So these guys racing for pride. Who's that going around? Oh, James Kahula. It's our buddy James Kahula, who's had himself a great race going on. Just put it into the tires.
That is unfortunate. James, well, I know personally how hard it was for him to get here to this one, to see that just have him put into the tires. Not a good thing. Matthew Mercer back here with a little bit of trouble himself.
Of course, Matthew Mercer had himself a pretty good race going right up until... Whoa, we got to go up to Altman and Galvin, almost blocking wheels right there for a second, going down through turn 1. Jason Galvin out in front of the yellow and green machine. He's able to keep that position. Somehow he keeps holding off David Altman.
Yeah, I don't know how. Right now, Altman is awful fast, and he's picking him up here on the straight, but not going to get him here at the left-hander. Wasn't close enough to make that move. Now Jaegerliner's right back here. I mean, he's just as much of this fight as they are. Jaegerliner keeping it close right now.
Well, these guys, Jason Galvin was able to pull away from him during the first stint here in the pit cycle. He lost a lot of ground to David Altman and just cannot seem to get away. In fact, Galvin actually looks like, you mentioned it, Sean, that's holding him up. And that's, of course, allowing Travis Jaegerliner to get back in it. Now, after the connection issues, before that heats back up, let's run through your top 10 here real quick. We haven't had quite a chance to do that just yet. Up front right now, Adam Blocker, he's got a huge lead right now, up over 12 seconds over top of Dustin Wardlow. Dustin Wardlow in that Dewar's candy machine. Let's jump on board Dustin here, who's carrying a special on board in memory of Patrick Taylor here for this evening, and that onboard camera shot, of course, being specially sponsored in memory of Patrick Taylor, looking right underneath that rear wing. Switch over to the side of the rear wing. I'll tell you what, Doug Beard comes up with some of the greatest onboard camera shots you'd ever seen. If you go back and take a look at the Camel GT race that we did this past weekend at Road America, and you will see some fantastic onboard camera shots out of that Nissan, things you wouldn't even have thought of before. And then going back to third position, you'll find Jason Galvin. Jason is also, I believe, carrying one of those special onboards here for tonight. So, of course, Patrick Taylor very much on the mind of everybody out there here for this evening. And then going back to David Altman in fourth, who, of course, he's been fighting with here for tonight, the last little bit. David started in fifth, now, of course, up to fourth position. And look who is right there. That's right, Travis Jaegerliner. Now in fifth position, and he is right now underneath that rear wing of David Altman. So we'll finish right through the rest of the top five here in just a second, but Altman's got to do something about Jason Galvin, or he's going to have Jaegerliner all up on him, isn't he here, Sean?
Yeah, he really is. I mean, this has been a really, since I jumped in here, this has been the one to watch right now. Altman's got really good pace, but he's only got a little over 5 laps to get this done. As they get round to the back part of the course now, head down to Canada. There's always action down in Canada corner. Such a tricky one to master.
And there it is. There's that move. David Altman getting around Jason Galvin. Looked like he got a little squirrely there, getting back underneath the power in that low-speed corner, but is able to complete the move cleanly. And now Jason Galvin, the newsman, is going to have to fall back into the grips of Travis Jaegerliner here before too long if Travis is able to keep up his momentum. And we'll see if Jason Galvin's able to come back on David Altman here going into one.
Yeah, and look at the toe here. Galvin really taking advantage of it. Altman staying right in the middle of the track, really making it hard for Galvin to get around him.
The defensive line.
Yeah, Altman going to win that race down into turn one. Galvin looking back to the inside here. He is not done with him at all. Oh, got to keep it tight down there on the bottom. Altman runs out just a little bit. Not bad. Galvin gets the position back for now. For right now.
Yeah, and Travis now fully involved in this dance that's going on right now. Right there, you can great top-down look from the helicopter here. Getting so close there from locking wheels. Now, that's going to allow Travis Jaegerliner here to get an inside look underneath David Altman. Not quite there, not able to do anything with him just yet, but put Jason Galvin back in fourth position solidly. David Altman in Jason Galvin in third. Wow, I am getting all of a sudden twisted here, Sean.
Keep digging, keep digging.
I know when to give up.
Tell you what, man, that is a great battle. You know what? There's a really good battle right behind them. Kinsella and Goodman are still slugging it out, and they're in the carousel right now. Kinsella getting the better of it, but man, watch out for Michael Goodman. Don't ever take your eyes off of him or let him take advantage of you, because he will. Guy is a wheelman indeed, and he's got the speed. He just needs to find an opportunity here to pull this pass off. It's not going to be down in Canada, not that time. Now, Ryan Otis is also in this picture. Unfortunately, Otis, one of the drivers affected by the great crash there, back trying to salvage a 19th place run. James Krahula is in the pit, has been for a while. Otis looks to pick that spot up. That'll move him up to 18th. A little bit too far behind Jake Wright for that to matter, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and now watching Jason Galvin once again have to take that defensive line going into one. David Altman's going to have to settle for staying in the spot, but then he's going to have to defend a little bit for Travis Jaegerleiner. That battle keeps going off. You know what happened a couple minutes ago there, Sean?
Do I know what happened?
Yeah, when we getting tongue-tied. I got too busy looking at Brandon Roberts in our chat here for tonight, playing weatherman, talking about Hurricane Harvey. Got to be careful or he's going to take my day job. We got David Altman right on the outside to get really close. You don't get much closer than that in one of these Lotus 79 machines, but he's still not able to pull that position away from Jason Galvin.
Hey man, I want to let Tanner get back in here and finish calling this race with you. I'm just a guy on the side here, just taking this thing over.
Right here. We can make this a three-man crew the rest of the way. We got 4 laps to go. Yes. You are more than welcome to stay here, Sean. It's an unofficial race now. We can have some fun with this.
Oh yeah,
it's unofficially unofficial, is what I've been told.
Unofficially official.
Unofficially unofficial.
Unofficially unofficial.
Figure that one out. That's what George said, man.
And plus, you don't want to be missing this battle on track, because if you leave your computer spot,
there goes Dave. Is he going to be able to do anything with them on the outside going through Canada here?
Oh, almost contact. Ever so close, ever so fast.
You tell Tanner it's an unofficial race, and all of a sudden he starts making funny voices.
Oh yeah, that means you can try to wreck each other now.
oh no! Is he able to keep it out of the grid? Hey, save of the day right there.
Huge mistake.
But he kept it out of the tires.
Yeah, he did. But loses both those spots now to Jaegerleiner and Altman. And honestly, you got to be careful here, because Andrew Kinsella and Goodman are just behind him now. They'll be to him before he gets back to the fight up in front of him.
I got to give a hand there, Dave. You just watched it on the replay there, the hand to Jason Galvin, because quick hands is what kept him out of the tire barrier there. But unfortunately, now he's going to have to be careful about falling back into the clutches of the likes of Andrew Kinsella back there as well. Okay, so now that battle kind of got broken up a little bit, we can go back through the back half of the top 10 here, starting 6th position. Look at Andrew Kinsella. Andrew Kinsella in that red Budweiser machine, who, yes, I did compare earlier to the old Miss Budweiser hydroplane machine. And Sean, you can tell me if you agree with me. Doesn't the Lotus 79 and that Budweiser scheme, doesn't that almost kind of look like that old hydroplane shape from the mid to late 90s?
It does look a little bit like an unlimited hydroplane. Yes, I would.
Glad I got somebody to agree with me there.
You know what? You said that, and I started thinking to myself, yeah, kind of, maybe a little bit, yeah.
he's locked in a great battle here with Michael Goodman. Of course, Sean was talking about him a couple minutes ago. Michael Goodman, we saw him right at the beginning of the race. He himself have to make a couple of good saves, and now up one spot, the New York driver there.
Oh, Goodman's reeled him in here. Reeled him in.
See if he can do something here in Canada. Tanner, give it a call.
Yeah, absolutely. Down in Canada corner right here. He's going to try the outside lane very much so like Jason Galvin pulled off earlier. Could not make it done this time by. Now he's going to try to go uphill, try to catch that draft. Not going to happen. So Andrew Kinsella pulling up a little ways here. And guys, Andrew, he's consistent on the racetrack. He just hasn't had the results to really show it. But I tell you what, he's running good here, keeping right up in front of Michael Goodman going down the Road America stretch here, which is probably the longest straightaway, I think, of this racetrack. And hopefully Michael Goodman can catch up a little draft. Not too much of a draft right here. No overtaking down in turn number 1 for Michael Goodman.
Well, we got to. I want to keep moving on because we're getting ready. 2 laps to go here. Eventually, Adam's going to be taking the white flag. Let's talk about Chris Stouffer back there as well. Chris Stouffer currently in 8th position, and he's up 4 spots from where he started here for today. Right behind him, you've got Chris Stouffer. Chris. It's had himself once again a pretty good day, but he's going to go ahead and get passed here by Scott Bolster, who's Scott Bolster in the old Skull Bandit ride. And I say it every broadcast, every time I see that car, I think of Harry Gant. And I think Bolster on maybe Iowa next week needs to take the high line around Iowa the entire way around. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that?
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to get to that high line to where you can't fit a piece of paper between those right side tires and the wall.
Skull, just a pinch between your cheek and gum. That's what they used to say.
And Sean continuing to date himself. Alrighty, well, hey, so that right there, in your top 10th position, don't want to forget about the 10th position, Dylan McKenna, who I always think has probably one of the craziest, funnest looking Lotus 79 machines in the field. So, always want to give that 34 car a little bit of a shout out there. Up 5 positions from where he started here for today. But taking the white flag, we're going to go up to Adam Blocker. He is, I think, right now on cruise control mode because he's just trying to make sure he finishes this race. He's lost a couple of seconds here the last little bit to Dustin Wardlow. I think he's just going to bring this thing home at this point here, as he's just driven himself a heck of a race, even without the connection problems. He was going to have himself a very, very good finish here for today. And you can see that just cruise control at this point for Adam Blocker, who won last time out at Gateway, but you don't let the oval or road distinction fool you. This kid is good everywhere.
Yeah, much like Jake Wright. I mean, he is a lot like Jake Wright. Jake Wright's good everywhere he goes to, and I'm telling you, Adam Blocker is falling right into his footsteps for sure.
Should I make an announcement here on the last lap?
Go ahead.
The race will be official. The race did reach the halfway distance, and it will be considered an official one due to only a handful of drivers being affected and then being able to rejoin the field.
Ooh.
This is an official race, guys.
So here's the thing with that. Okay, and I want to call a finish here for Adam Blocker in a minute, but Jason Galvin had himself in 3rd position and had the problem off the last corner there a couple laps ago when he started to really gain a ton of ground on those two. He's going to lose a couple points out of that, so we're going to have to see if that's going to affect him. But Dustin Wardlow is another guy that's going to have a really good points day now. So once again, with the announcement from Sean just a minute ago, this is going to be called an official race. So here comes Adam Blocker with now the official Road America 100 presented by DwarsCandy.com champion, your Carolina driver Adam Blocker with a 2nd in a row, winning on the oval and now winning on the road course. Dustin Wardlow in that Dewars Candy machine coming home in 2nd position. David Altman's got himself a little bit, and I believe he still has Travis Jagerliner back. Nope, separated himself a little bit. David Altman coming across the line, and here comes Travis Jagerliner.
Goodman's going to have a shot up the hill here. He's going to have a shot. He's in the toe. I don't think it's enough.
Anything?
No, it's not enough. Definitely not enough. Oh, man. Yep. But, hey, Andrew Kinsella, great finish by him, man. He had quite a few dismal finishes, so tip my hat up Andrew Kinsella. Consistent race all race long.
And here comes Chris Stouffer in that yellow and black machine coming across the line. Coming home in 8th, Scott Bolster in the Skull machine in 9th, and that's going to put Dylan McKenna in 10th position. And I believe got a couple more cars on the lead lap behind Dylan here. Might as well go ahead and finish it out. Dylan coming out of the front straightaway. Like I said earlier, one of my favorite looking cars in the Lotus 79 Retro Series. Pierre Daigle, we haven't had a chance to talk about Pierre Daigle quite a bit. He's going to bring this thing home in 11th position. Hitting that rumple strip right there, the curb. Can't think of the word all of a sudden. It's been that kind of night. He's going to come home here in 11th position. Frank Beezer now, a Texas driver, coming home in 12th position. Hey, Frank, Texas is trying to do something in the World Cup later. Hit me up after the broadcast. We're going to go ahead and come back with your final rundown after this. Well, it was an interesting race, to say the least. Road America 100, presented by DeWarsCandy.com, coming home with the win today. And at least on the leaderboard so far, Adam Blocker, Dustin Wardlow coming home in second, the DeWars Candy Machine. David Altman in third, Travis Jagerliner coming home in fourth, Jason Galvin, the Newsman in fifth, sixth position, Andrew Kinsella, Michael Goodman in seventh, Chris Stouffer in eighth, Scott Bolster in ninth position, and Dylan McKenna in 10th.
Yeah, outside that top 10, Pierre Digel finishes 11th. Frank Beezer will finish in 12th. Tony Schoen, the first car a lap down, will finish in the 13th position. Vincent Blumenthal, 14th. Robert Bluen in 15th. Big Joe Hazard will finish in the 16th spot. Jake Wright, championship point leader, will finish in 17th. Ryan Otis in 18th. Chris Lalini in 19th. And rounding off that top 20 is Matthew Mercer.
And rounding out the field, Ed Tutwiler, one of those affected by the connection issues, James Kahula, Joe Branch, Mark Amuk, Bob Mikas, Peter Edwins, Jake Bogan, and David Cordy. And judging by the conversation going on right now, there's going to be a lot of conversation about this race with the Lionheart Racing officials. So ultimately, when we join you next week at Iowa, we'll kind of have a little bit more of an official idea what's going to happen here. They deemed the race official because it reached the halfway point. Now, whether that means Adam Blocker is actually going to be given the full win, or is it going to be called at the halfway mark and whatever the race standings were at either lap 12 or lap 13, we'll probably have to bring you next week at Iowa. So we'll get with the Lionheart Racing officials about that and give you guys the full story coming up here in the next week. But we do have one driver up there right now ready to talk to us here for this evening, and I believe we have Dustin Wardlow and the Dewars Candy Machine. Tanner, go and catch up here with Dustin and have him tell us about the race.
Yeah, I've caught up with Dustin Wardlow, and Dustin, from a driver's vantage point, that had been a wild race for you out there, especially with the start of the green flag. It looked like you were battling for that top 5 spot in the first portion of the race there. How difficult and technical can Road America be in these Lotus 79s?
I had a death grip on the wheel. It was insanity for those first few laps. David is a good driver, though. I trust him. I trust all the guys that I was around there at the start. But we were slowing each other up, and we were letting people get away that we could have easily contended with. So we decided to kind of cruise around with each other for a few and see how things panned out.
Yeah, absolutely, and just by judging on how you guys were driving your vehicles in the first portion of the race, it looked like it was pretty technical for you guys up there, especially when you're going uphill and then eventually go downhill to turn 8. But man, oh man, I tell you what, towards the end of the race there, do you think if you maybe had a few more laps? Let's just say that this was a 30-lap event here at Road America. Do you think you would try to? You think you could probably gain on Adam Blocker and go for that win, or was Adam just too fast?
Oh no, man, he's way too fast. I'm certain any time that I made up there at the end was just him kind of rolling off and playing it safe. I'm certain there were going to be several groups of us that were going to be racing closely, and we were going to be segmented. And Adam would have been a part of that first group, and if I was lucky, I'd have been part of the second group. But nowhere in the same class as Otis and Adam and Jake and those guys. It's just they're in another realm.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dustin, just by looking upon your statistics here on the Lionheart Retro 2017 season, you're currently 4th in point standings right now. And today you led your first lap since Indianapolis, but your finishes have been somewhat consistent with the exception of Gateway. How about probably getting win number 2 at Iowa Speedway next week? What do you think about your chances there?
I never bank on an oval win. I know that Indy kind of fell in my lap, but I'm more of a road course guy. It's kind of sad that I'm not fast enough to compete with everybody in this league, but I'm more of a road course guy. I wouldn't expect much, but who knows? Maybe I get lucky there, and that would be a nice surprise for sure.
Hey, speaking of road courses, we got one more road course left, and that is after Iowa. We're going to Barber Motorsports Park, the full course. 42 laps there, and you said you're not too much of an oval guy, but you are indeed on the road. How do you feel about maybe getting win number 3 there, or win number 2 if you don't win Iowa, at least a win at Barber?
such a technical track. I think it. I usually the toughest car on the track to beat is my own. Like I am always self-spinning and doing things. That one might pose me a problem, even though I enjoy road courses. But I will definitely get in enough practice. I still, even going into today, I was hoping for a top 5. Maybe at best, I would probably expect the same, maybe a Barber. But again, hopefully I'll get some lucky breaks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dustin, thank you for coming and take your time to come talk with us, and we will see you next week at the Iowa Speedway.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for having me, and always good broadcasting.
Back to you, Adam.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dustin, for coming in here and talking with us here. I believe we're going to have our race winner, Adam Blocker, in with us now. Adam, you had yourself a pretty good run going even before the connection issue, so obviously still a well-deserved win here on the leaderboard right now. Tell us about the race and driving the Lotus 79 around Road America.
Well, I mean, first I want to say, I kind of looked into it. Ryan definitely deserved it, I think, more than anyone else, but I'll definitely take it. I don't luck into many wins, so, it's not very often that happens, but, so at the start, I got kind of boxed out because I was on the outsides, and I tried to defend it from Jake, so I lost the position to Jake, and then Jason also overtook me, so ended up in 4th, and then I got past Jason pretty quickly, but after that, Ryan was pulling away, and me and Jake were keeping about a 2-second gap between us, and it was going to come down to who got a faster pit stop between me and Jake, and then what would happen toward the end of the race. I think it was going to be a great battle, but in the end, though, I mean, they dropped out. That was kind of a nerve-wracking moment, but ended up okay, and it was a pretty easy race after that.
Now, you've been one of the main topics of conversation here the last couple of races. You joined the series, and ever since you joined the series, you have just been on fire. Now, do we have we got Iowa next week, and then we got Barber after that. How do you feel about the next 2 races?
Well, Iowa is not really a good track for me, and then Barber, I've actually never done a race at Barber, so can't really say anything about that. But I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to both of them because I seem to really like this car because it's quickly becoming my favorite car in iRacing, so I seem to be much better here than in the DW12, so just looking forward to every minute I can drive this car.
Alrighty, well, hey Adam, I'm pretty sure this may not be the last time this season that we talk to you here, so good luck, and we'll see you next week at Iowa.
Yep, hopefully. See you guys then.
All right, so late addition here into the interview room. Tanner, I believe you'll catch up here with David Altman.
Yeah, absolutely. I've caught up with David Allman, who finished 3rd today here at Road America. And David, it was a wild race from pretty much start to finish, from the great racing up towards the front to a connection issues, and then wild racing towards the end of the race. But you capture off a 3rd place finish. Congratulations there for your podium finish. How was the racing for you in your cockpit of that Lotus 79? It just seemed like it was a very technical racetrack for you guys to maneuver in those Lotus 79s out there. Talk about your race today.
Oh, thank you, Tanner. Yeah, it was an incredible race. I was quite happy with the connection issues. That helped me out quite a bit. But no, it was basically a qualifying lap. Just every lap, going against Dustin early in the race, and then battling with Jason there and Travis. So it was quite a lot of fun. It's probably the most fun I've had racing in about 2 seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been on a hot streak lately as far as your consistent finishes are concerned. You've been pulling off. This is going to be your 5th straight top 10 finish with the best finish of a 3rd, which happened today here at Road America. So really congratulations on that. How about carrying that momentum into Iowa? I mean, you've been on a hot streak lately. How do you feel about going another notch up and try to capture that win?
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I'm a big road course guy, so I felt like this was my last chance to really score something big at Road America, and we got the job done there. But going into Iowa, I'm looking forward to it. I've been racing a lot of oval fix just to try to get better at the ovals, but it's tough to beat these Lionheart guys on the ovals. They're very competitive, so we'll just go in and try to finish top 10, and that's pretty much the goals on the oval.
Well, absolutely, and we got one more road course left on the season for the Lionheart Retro Series, and that is going to be Barber Motorsports Park. And you just say you're more of a road guy. How about capturing a top 5 or podium finish or a victory lane at Barber?
Well, will there be connection issues? No. But no, yeah, I'm very excited for Barber. I forgot we were going there towards the end of the season. So yeah, obviously on the road courses, I'm shooting for top 5, no doubt. But it's it's really tough going against Ryan and Jake and Adam. They're very, very quick. They're like on a whole nother level.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I got one more question before I let you go here, David. Is that tire wear at Road America today, was it a concern to you guys out there on the Speedway as a race went on? Was tire wear at all a concern?
It was a little bit getting on the throttle early on the apex, but you just kind of get used to it. You feel the rhythm of the car as the stint goes on, and you adjust to it, and in the end, it ends up getting faster laps because you're lighter on fuel.
All right, sounds good there. David, thank you for coming to talk with us today here at Road America, and best of luck next week at Iowa Speedway.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate what all you guys do, and I'm glad I can finally be a part of it.
That was David Altman finishing in the 3rd position there, Adam, as he had a whale. He's been on a hot streak lately, and I tell you what, don't count him out next upcoming races.
Yeah, David's one of those guys that always seems to be right there in the mix of it, whether he wants to be humble about it or not. We know that he likes to be there in the mix. Well, it certainly was an interesting night here for us, but we got through it, Tanner, and of course that opens up the door for a pretty exciting race next week at Iowa. Any final thoughts before we close out here tonight?
Well, hopefully everything's all good and dandy by the time we get to the Iowa Speedway. That is definitely going to be another great race on the Lionheart Retro Series schedule is going to be Iowa Speedway. And actually, we got quite a few races in upcoming for this series. I mean, you got Barber Motorsports Park, which is going to be the final road course of the season. Then you're going to take these Lotus 79s to Dover, Phoenix, and then Auto Club. So we got some pretty good racetracks for these Lotus 79s here, Adam.
We certainly do. Now, with that, of course, I want to thank our organizer here for tonight, the LionheartRacingSeries.com, as they continue the mourn the passing of their friend Patrick Taylor. Don't forget, in the description of the YouTube video, you can find where, if you are able to, and they could use the help, where you can find a way to donate to Patrick's family, and there's also a way to get a Lionheart patch, and you can see that information in the description. Also, need to thank our race sponsor here for tonight, DeWarsCandy.com. Check them out. Thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcast, you can see they're listed on your screen. Additional thanks to our musical contributors, Eric Eckel, Casey Lalonde, whose music you can also find at the websites listed. Thanks to the team today, Tanner, Joe, a surprise visit by Sean Ambrose, and of course Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find info at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /globalsimracingchannel. Next race, next week, we're going short track racing. The Midwest swing continues into Iowa. We'll see you on August 31st at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, Eastern Daylight Time. It's not Standard Time yet. We'll also have upcoming races for other series there on your screen, so check those out and mark them down in your calendar. Till next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.